The Final is an American psychological thriller film released in the year 2010. The plot of the film follows a group of bullied outcasts who kidnap, drug, and dismember fellow students who bullied them at school. The film opens with a scarred, teenage girl entering a diner. She has a hood covering her head and messy hair, giving her a miserable appearance. As she orders food for herself, the waitress gets weirded out by her face. Her expressions intensify even more when the girl places money on the counter, revealing her two missing fingers. Within no time, everyone in the diner catches her attention, and they start staring at her. This outrages the girl, and she bursts onto everyone, looking at her strangely, flipping the table in the diner and running out. The scene goes into a flashback where a high school teenage boy, Bradley, enters his classroom, bullying his Indian classmate, Ravi. The teacher notices Bradley's actions and asks him to switch seats with another boy, Bernard. However, Bernard is Bradley's best friend, and he also starts teasing Ravi. Other than Bradley and Bernard, there are three infamous mean girls at the high school named Heather, Bridget, and Kelly who are seen discussing the upcoming costume party. As they walk by the hallway, they mess with a girl named Emily, mocking her after knowing that she isn't invited to the costume party. Dane is another bullied outcast at the high school who has an old, secluded house in the woods which he inherited from his late uncle. While he's laying bear traps on the ground, his veteran neighbor Parker greets him asking about his uncle's whereabouts. Dane sadly informs him that his uncle passed away 8 months ago, leaving the house to him. The scene cuts to Emily watching a horror movie in her bedroom while speaking to Ravi on the phone. She tells him that although the movie is gruesome and disgusting, it will turn out to be perfect. It seems as if they've been planning to avenge the bullies using the tactics shown in the movie. The following day at school, all the outcasts lounge in the cafeteria, planning to execute their vengefulness on the bullies during the costume party. On the other hand, the bullies group sits at another table and irritates the outcasts by spilling milk on them. Ravi gets up and hands them the milk pack. Just then, Curtis, a friendly student, approaches the outcast's table, inviting them to a video shoot. Moreover, he requests Ravi to bring his camera to record his behind-the-scenes footage for him. After Curtis walks away, Emily tells the group to make sure Curtis does not go to the party as he is one of the good ones. Curtis then invites the bullies to the video shoot as well. The scene cuts to Bridget and Kelly glamming up together. They find out that their friend Heather has been dating a guy named Tommy who is already in a relationship with a Russian girl, Nadia. They confront Heather about it, and she strictly asks them to keep her relationship a secret. Meanwhile, Emily is seen writing her diary in her room. Her mother approaches her after seeing boxes packed in her room and asks if everything is fine. Emily tells her that she is cleaning up. The next day at the shoot, Bradley and Bernard storm at Ravi in the bathroom. They bully him relentlessly, and when they find out Ravi is concerned about the camera he has, they shatter his camera into pieces. Coincidentally, Dane enters the bathroom and Bradley intimidates him, claiming that he can never defeat him. After the bullies leave, Dane consoles Ravi, telling him that they will take their revenge soon. The following day in the cafeteria, Curtis demands Bradley to spare Ravi and his friends. This heats up the situation, and the two of them get into a fight. After school, Dane is seen attempting to shoot himself dead, but soon he changes his mind, motivating himself to avenge the bullies. Ravi is seen eating lunch with his estranged family who barely speak a word to him. Jack, another outcast, leaves his house after telling his father about a letter that he has left behind. However, his father doesn't bother to even give him a reply. The outcasts gather at Dane's house in the woods. It turns out the costume party is planned by them at Dane's house. Jack sets up the cameras in the house, and later Dane shows him the weapons he's arranged to torture the bullies. At night, the outcasts Emily, Jack, Ravi, and Andy, and Dane lounge around the bonfire, discussing their family problems and wishing they overcome them soon. On the party day, while Kelly and Bridget get ready, Heather feels uneasy. Her friends encourage her to come to the party as it will make her feel better. As the students gather at Dane's house, the outcasts join hands, praying to God to show them a sign if they should stop. However, no sign appears, and they decide to proceed with their plan. Meanwhile, on their way to the party, Bradley and Bernard are pulled over by the police due to speeding and smoking weed. The police officer confiscates the drugs and lets them go after giving them a warning. Meanwhile, the outcasts put on their costumes and infiltrate the party. They get worried upon seeing Curtis there as they do not wish to harm him. Ravi decides to talk to Curtis to send him back, but Dane stops him from doing so. Emily spikes the punch bowl with a sedative, and as the partiers drink it, they start dozing off. Meanwhile, the outcasts change into another costume, putting on terrifying masks. To wake up the bullies, they play a high-frequency sound. As the bullies wake up, they are puzzled to find themselves chained up. Disguised in a mask, Dane informs them of their intention to make them suffer as revenge for the years they've suffered from bullying. When Miles, an outspoken teenager, starts mocking Dane, Jack shoots him with a cattle gun in his face and knee. Terrified, the hostages ask Dane who he is, and Dane introduces his team as the Outcasts. He then asks if someone wants to leave, and Tommy raises his hand. Dane agrees to release him but refuses to fulfill his request of letting Nadia leave with him. After he leaves, Dane reveals to Nadia that Tommy has been cheating on her with Heather and that everyone knows about it, but they chose to make fun of it behind her back. As Tommy tries to get away, he unknowingly steps into a bear trap in the woods. 3 boys nicknamed the Triplets, who help the Outcasts, capture Tommy and bring him back into the house, placing him in a room next to Miles. Meanwhile, Bradley starts crying, berating the Outcasts that they'll go to hell for torturing them. Dane answers him by saying that he's already there as the bullies have made their life a living hell. He then asks Jack to play banjo for the hostages as a treat. Next, Ravi approaches Bernard, stabbing his shoulder with a sword and immobilizing him with a drug. He then secretly leaves a key next to Curtis, allowing him to escape. To further terrorize the hostages, Emily tortures Bernard with needles, inculcating others with more and more fear. Bernard feels the pain but is unable to scream due to the silencing drug. He is then transported to the same room with Tommy and Miles. Soon enough, Curtis attempts to run away. When Dane tries to stop him by shooting at him, Ravi intervenes, asking Dane to let Curtis go as he always stood up for him. This infuriates Dane, and he kills Ravi by stabbing him as a consequence of betraying his team. In the woods, the Triplets run after Curtis to catch him. Unexpectedly, Curtis encounters a policeman in the woods. Before Curtis could ask him for help, the Triplets shoot the policeman dead. Curtis grabs the policeman's gun and runs away. Meanwhile, Emily mourns Ravi's death. Jack encourages her to finish what they started, so she continues the torturing by rubbing a dangerous compound on Heather's face that slowly eats away her flesh. Bradley becomes furious and calls Dane a coward for hiding behind a mask. Dane slams him with his gun, telling him that he's the monster that Bradley created. Upon Bradley's request, Dane reveals himself, leaving everyone stunned. Meanwhile, Curtis flees to Parker's house in the neighborhood, asking him for help. However, Parker doesn't trust Curtis and knocks him unconscious. In Dane's house, Bradley begs Emily to let him go. One by one, all the Outcasts reveal themselves. Bridget apologizes to Emily for being mean to her, requesting not to hurt her. Emily agrees but demands Bridget cut off Bradley's fingers in exchange for her safety. Bridget refuses to do it. Meanwhile, Parker ties up Curtis to a chair, thinking that he's a thief after seeing him with a gun. On the other hand, Emily offers Bradley to cut off Bridget's fingers. Compelled, he reluctantly agrees and cuts off 2 of Bridget's fingers. Emily once again gives Bridget a chance to inflict pain on Bradley. However, she again fails to do so, and Emily ends up smearing the corrosive compound on half of her face. Meanwhile, Parker sets out for Dane's house to investigate if Curtis's claims are true or not. Accidentally, he trips over a cord, and a trap injures his legs. On the other hand, Curtis manages to free himself, calls the police, and heads to Dane's house. Using his veteran skills, Parker kills one of the Triplets. Meanwhile, Dane torments Bradley, reminding him of the times he was bullied. Hysterical, Bradley apologizes to him, begging him not to chop his fingers off. To agonize Bradley for the rest of his life, Dane severs his spinal cord with a switchblade, paralyzing his lower half body so he never gets to play football again. In the woods, Parker manages to kill another one of the Triplets. Meanwhile, Riggs, another hostage, curses Dane for his obsession with revenge. Curtis finds Parker in the woods, where Parker apologizes to Curtis for not believing him earlier. Dane orders Andy to cut off Riggs' tongue. However, Curtis appears just in time, asking Dane to stop the madness. Dane tricks Curtis and shoots him in the arm. In the ensuing shootout, Curtis shoots Andy dead. Just then, Emily kills Dane before he can kill Curtis. She says her final words to Kelly that she would have really made a good friend to her. Jack then shoots her in the head, and as the police barges into the house, he kills himself after saying, "There are more of us out there." The following day, a news reporter informs the news how a group of disgruntled students from a high school tormented their fellow students without a cause. Curtis starts going back to school and stares at the remaining triplet. Kelly suffers from PTSD and attempts suicide by overdosing. The film ends with Bridget entering the diner, and it's revealed that she was the disfigured, weird girl shown at the start of the film. This movie has a rating of 5.3 on IMDb. I hope you all liked this video. If yes, then make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel for more movie recaps.